Managed services has an incredible buzz around it. It's something that we have written about almost every week, almost every other day on the web, and stories coming left, right and centre. But of course, what my managed services means isn't necessarily what your managed services means. So I'm here today, just like you are, to hear from someone who's out there at the coalface doing the business. Having already had the privilege of interviewing Paul Tomlinson, I can guarantee that the next speaker is going to challenge you with his experiences of managed services. This is not a session to hear about the what might be's and the predictions of analysts, but to provide you with a chance to hear from someone who has been doing it and doing it incredibly successfully, has the revenues to prove it, and he's come out of one of the worst recessions for many years with his business and his ambitions for growth intact. I hope you get something out of it. I hopefully intend to. May I introduce Paul Tomlinson?
The guys have invited me here today really to talk about my business, how I run my business, how I deliver managed services. So today it's just really about what I do. Our standard offering, everyone out there has a different model. Our guaranteed response times are 4/8 hours, so 4 hours for the server or what would be deemed as critical issues, 8 hours for something that's deemed as non-critical. We have certain customers that would be on a 2/4 hour response, but typically all of our customers would be on a 4/8. Server and workstation maintenance and monitoring. What we do there, obviously we've got the Kaseya agent deployed. Prior to having Kaseya, we used another product, another monitoring tool, but it just didn't give us the same sort of visibility of what was going on. With the maintenance, I mean, that's a key part for us in our sales pitch. Rather than us just going in and saying, we're going to look to see where the problems are with your network, what we're doing is we're saying, on a Friday night, we're going to defragment your hard drives, we're going to do spyware cleanups, we're going to do AV cleanups, we're going to do disk cleanups, we're going to clear your temporary internet files. We're going to do anything we can to try and avoid problems the following week. Because, in terms of our revenue, we don't get paid any more money for fixing those problems. But if we can get a managed services tool to do it for us, namely Kaseya, then it's going to avoid any of those issues the following week. We don't get phone calls where the first thing we go and do is defragment a hard drive because we know the system's done it for us. So if someone calls us and they're having problems with performance, we don't have to go through 10 different steps before we start looking for the actual problem. We're seeing reports from the event viewer, we're seeing where there's failed hard drives in RAID arrays, we're seeing where there's problems with the APC management software. So because we see all that, when we actually do get a call or do see a genuine alert coming up in our system, we can just focus straight on that. We know all those other steps have been done. Online call logging and tracking. We actually don't use the Kaseya ticketing system. We bought Autotask. We bought it shortly before we bought Kaseya, so it was one of those things that we'd already started along that track. It is something we've considered switching back to the Kaseya ticketing system, but I think in the current version that we run, because we've not completed the upgrade, I think there's some benefits in Autotask, but going forward I haven't had a chance to look at the new version of the Kaseya ticketing system, but I know it's improved an awful lot, so that might change. But our customers, you have to allow for online call logging. We actually get 65% of our calls are logged through the web portal now. So in terms of staffing, we've managed to reduce the number of staff we have answering the phone. The technicians can concentrate on actually dealing with technical issues rather than speaking to customers. Don't get me wrong, we still speak to customers, but it's not, phoning up and saying, can we log this ticket? It's all done, the information's in there, so we know what we're dealing with straight away. Backup monitoring, it's a key one. That was one of the key reasons we actually bought Kaseya. When we were looking at Kaseya, we had an engineer who spent his whole day going through an Excel spreadsheet trying to work out whose backups passed, who's failed. It was just an absolute nightmare. So we sat down and we said, there must be something better out there. And we were looking at MOM and we were looking at all these other things. And we just said, actually, if we go and look at Kaseya, we had the guys in from Kaseya, they showed us how powerful it was in terms of backup monitoring. And it just sold the system for us. Weekly health check reports. There's a report called an executive summary within the Kaseya system. We've tweaked it slightly because we want it to look a little bit more, jazzy for our customers, because we're a little bit focused on our marketing, how things look. But there is also an SQL type report that you can pull out of Kaseya that will actually do that for you. We've just done it a slightly different way. I think everyone in IT does things different ways. Even though there's simple ways to do it, we seem to choose the complicated way. But the weekly health check report we send out to a customer, it just tells them that, how many licenses they've got in terms of Microsoft Office, that sort of thing. It tells them their patch management's being done properly. It tells them their backups have passed and failed. It looks at their disk utilisation. And we're also now trending the disk utilisation. So we can say to a customer, in 6 months' time, your Exchange server is going to run out of disk space, because we're actually seeing the growth patterns there. We can say, in terms of your EDB file, your Exchange database file, we know exactly, or if you carry on with the certain pattern that you're working with, when you're going to run out of space in your Exchange database, when you need to consider an archiving solution, when you need to consider moving to Exchange 2010. But we're doing these things in a structured way. We're not getting the customer phone us up and saying, my Exchange store's failed, can you come and help me? We have to do offline defrags and they're down for a day. It's very proactive, and it means things are much easier to manage. Service packs and security updates, again, it was another thing we did, like backup monitoring, that was done manually. We ran WSUS servers at all our customer sites. At the time of bringing on Kaseya, I think we had about 80 managed service customers, so we had 80 WSUS servers we were trying to manage, and every one of them every week would have a problem. So we wouldn't have a clue where we were in terms of patching for the client machines. There was no nice console we could go into and see all of our endpoints that we were looking after. We just had to say, we think this site's okay, and we think this site needs a bit of work, and it made things very difficult. With the Kaseya tool, it's all within one console. The backup monitoring and the security updates, we actually do all of that for 6,000 users with one person. So, when we had the small number of people we had, it was difficult trying to do it. As we've grown, the engineer that's looked after the Kaseya system for us, he's obviously continued in that role. As we've taken on 1,000 new users, he's just got to click a few buttons and go in and look at some reports. It's very simple. And it's having that scalable product. If we didn't have a tool, whether it's Kaseya or another tool, we would then have to employ a number of people as we take on more customers to monitor the backups, to monitor the service packs. And also it'd be difficult to look after, whereas this, it just makes things a lot easier. The content filtering, web content filtering, we offer it completely free of charge to our customers because it costs us nothing. We use a product called OpenDNS, which is just a DNS forwarder. Lots of other people use it, but we sort of say to our customers, as part of our standard offering, we're going to do it. So we'll block adult sites, we'll block social networking sites, those type of things. And the reason we do it is because they don't get spyware infections then. So again, because we're doing it as a managed service, what we're trying to do is control what's going on with the customer's network. The management of antivirus updates and versions, because we're using the KES module integrated into Kaseya, it makes it really easy. Before we did that, we used Semantic Endpoint. As I said, we had lots of problems with it, but we were still monitoring it. So we get customers that come on board, and they might not switch straight across to our KES product in terms of antivirus. So we might have to monitor their Sophos or their Trend or the Semantic. But we do that because obviously we want the network to be reliable and not to get virus infections. So again, it's part of the standard offering. Unlimited telephone and remote support, that's a pretty standard thing for anyone. By that, our help desk, we've got 10 guys in the help desk. We've got 8 of them based in Milton Keynes, 1 based in Northampton, 1 based in South Africa. The South African employee used to work for us in the UK. He said to me, I want to go home. So I said, bring your voice over IP phone home, bring your Kaseya login, your laptop, and off you go. And he just works as if he's working for us in the UK. He actually works out of a pool house, so when we had all the snow, he was sitting and lie low out in the pool, and we were all freezing to death, so it wasn't great. With the unlimited telephone and remote support, we obviously support all the standard applications, so we'll support your Microsoft Office type applications. We'll try and help people with things like VLOOKUPs within Excel. We'll try and help them with mail merges. So that's not just for problems. It's not just for a support type issue. Everything, an install, a move, a change, everything that we do on site is included in a fixed monthly cost. So if a customer comes to us and they say, I want to buy a new server, a company down the road will say they're going to charge 5 days for the install. We're going to say we're going to roll that into your monthly service agreement. So that's our standard offering. Outside of that, some customers will come to us with certain things they want. There's lots and lots that we also do that we don't include on our pitch to our customers. Because we found that we did a proposal document. In the proposal document, we literally listed out everything. It was 42 pages that we gave to the customer as a proposal, saying all the things we do for the customer.